What do you say to the people who say, Sophie Cunningham, she shoots those three-pointers, makes them look like free throws?
I'm like, good. That's what I get paid to do. I should.
You do get paid.
Barely, but we're still surviving.
That voice, that raw, unfiltered energy, that absolute refusal to feed you the polished, league-approved lie. Sophie Cunningham doesn't play their game. She never did. And right now, what she is unleashing about Stephanie White, about the Indiana Fever, about everything swirling around Caitlin Clark, is detonating across every corner of the sports world like a grenade no one saw coming. Because when a player with zero to lose and zero institutional loyalty decides to go fully on record about what is actually rotting inside this league, people don't just listen. They stop. They stare. Their jaw hits the floor. And what Cunningham has said, combined with what Clark's own body language and her performance numbers are screaming from inside that Fever locker room, is painting a picture so damning, so explosive, that the Indiana Fever front office is completely unprepared to face it publicly. Betrayal. Deep. Calculated. Cold-blooded betrayal. That is the exact word the most loyal Fever fans are using right now. Not disappointment. Not frustration. Betrayal. Because what has been unfolding inside the Indiana Fever organization is no accident. The rotations that deliberately shatter Clark's rhythm the moment she catches fire. The post-game press conferences handing out credit to everyone, except the woman who just delivered a historic fourth quarter. The suffocating, undeniable feeling that this coaching staff is not just failing its superstar, it is actively working against her. This no longer looks like incompetence. This looks coordinated. This looks intentional. This looks personal. And now, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are done. Done whispering. Done hinting. Done pretending that everything is fine behind closed doors. The silence is over. And what comes next is going to shake this league to its core.
Stephanie White defenders are starting to turn on her. Stephanie White's biggest advocates are starting to turn on her.
The growing sentiment of, hey, Stephanie White is not the right coach for this team. It has been there.
The defenders are turning. The very people who spent months going to war for this hire, this philosophy, this coaching staff. The ones who showed up in every comment section, every podcast, every debate, sword drawn, ready to die on that hill. They are changing their minds. And when that demographic flips, when the true believers start walking away, the political reality inside a sports franchise doesn't just shift. It fractures. It crumbles. It collapses from the inside out. The question burning through every front office hallway right now is whether the Indiana Fever brass is reading that seismic shift in real time, or whether they're going to sit on their hands, heads buried, waiting until the boycott numbers become so catastrophic, so undeniable, so financially devastating that they physically cannot look away anymore. But to truly understand why the Clark-Cunningham-White situation has reached this specific, volcanic boiling point, you cannot start today. You have to go back to the Washington Mystics game. Because that game, and more specifically what happened after that game, is the exact moment that converted widespread frustration into a full-blown organizational crisis that no press release can contain. Clark didn't just perform that night. She put on one of the most electrically, jaw-droppingly historic fourth-quarter displays in the entire history of the WNBA. 5 threes. From logo range. Not the arc. Not the line. Logo range. 17 points in 9 savage, relentless minutes. A one-woman war. A single-handed attempt to drag her team back from a deficit that looked dead, that was dead, until she decided it wasn't. The arena erupted. Washington stopped looking like a professional basketball team and started looking like a group of people genuinely terrified of what was coming next. Every single possession felt dangerous. The comeback wasn't just possible anymore. Everyone in that building believed it was happening.
Caitlin Clark just put on one of the greatest fourth quarter performances in WNBA history to carry her team to overtime. She was 5 of 7 from three-point range for 17 points in 9 minutes.
5 of 7 from 3, 17 points, 9 minutes. Let that sink in. Not 5 of 7 from comfortable range. Not 5 of 7 with open looks and perfect screens. 5 of 7 from logo range, under pressure, with a game on the line, while an entire franchise's season was bleeding out on the floor. This wasn't just a great performance. This was a moment for the history books. A moment people were going to be showing their kids. A moment that belonged in the conversation with the greatest individual fourth-quarter performances this league has ever seen. The crowd knew it. Washington knew it. Every analyst with a pulse knew it. The entire sports world knew it. And then the game ended. The cameras swung around. The reporters gathered. And one journalist stepped forward and asked Stephanie White, point blank, directly, no room for deflection, about Caitlin Clark's performance. What happened next was not a mistake. It was not a slip of the tongue. It was not a coach caught off guard by an unexpected question. What happened next was a moment so stunning, so tone-deaf, so absolutely gasoline on open flames that it did not just light the internet on fire. It created an inferno that has not and will not stop burning.
5 threes in that fourth quarter, more than our first 2 games combined. So just your thoughts on the resilience from her.
I thought our whole group showed resilience.
The whole group showed resilience.
That is the
response. That is what came out of Stephanie White's mouth after witnessing, live, in person, from the bench, one of the most individually brilliant fourth-quarter performances in WNBA history. Not Caitlin was extraordinary tonight. Not I've never seen anything like what number 22 just did. Not even a basic, bare minimum Clark was incredible. The whole group.
The whole group.
5 threes from logo range. 17 points in 9 minutes. A one-woman resurrection of a dead season. And this coach stands in front of the cameras, looks directly into the lights, and cannot bring herself to say one name.
She will not say it.
She refuses to say it. The name that every single person in that arena was chanting. The name that every analyst was screaming across every television in America. The name that Washington's entire defense had just spent 9 terrifying minutes failing to stop. She could not say Caitlin Clark. And then, seconds later, same reporter, same podium, same microphone. The reporter asks essentially the exact same question, but this time about Kelsey Mitchell. And watch what happens next.
Kelsey Mitchell and what she did today is something else.
It's speechless, really. She was 0 for 7 in the first half and 4 points, and just put us on her back.
Speechless. Literally, visibly, emotionally speechless for the player who went 0 for 7 in the first half.
0 for 7.
Struggling, misfiring, ineffective for an entire half of professional basketball. And Stephanie White is moved, emotional, effusive. But for the player who went 5 for 7 from 3 in the fourth quarter of the same game, on the same night, under the same lights, not speechless, not even specifically complimentary, just the whole group showed resilience. The same game, the same press conference, the same podium, the same microphone. 2 completely different human beings standing behind those eyes within 60 seconds of each other. And every single fan watching that press conference in real time saw it happen live. Social media didn't wait for the morning. Social media didn't wait for the analysts. The comparison was clipped, edited, shared, and going viral before Stephanie White even stepped away from that podium. The internet didn't need a prompt. The internet had already reached its verdict. But here is where this conversation stops being about a bad post-game press conference and starts being about something far more serious, far more disturbing, far more deliberate. Because the post-game response? That is just the symptom. The pattern of in-game decisions? That is the disease. And that disease, documented, time-stamped, visible to anyone watching with open eyes across multiple games, is exactly what has taken frustrated fans and converted them into people who are no longer using words like disappointed or confused. They are using words like deliberate. They are using words like coordinated. And once fans start using those words, once that line gets crossed, there is no press release, no media strategy, no carefully worded statement that puts that back in the bottle.
1,600 MPC frustration with their wallets.
White does not know how to capitalize on a lead.